The vast emptiness of space stretched before the research vessel, its sleek metallic hull gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. Inside the ship's advanced scanning room, Ji-Yoon Park leaned closer to the holographic display, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns of an impossible signal. The transmission was unlike anything she had ever encountered in her 15 years of deep space research. It originated from the remnants of the solar system, a region most scientists considered a dead zone, a graveyard of humanity's final moments. Yet this signal persisted, a rhythmic pulse that defied all known technological understanding. Hyunwoo Kim, her research partner, adjusted the quantum scanning equipment. His hands moved with practiced precision, recalibrating sensors that could detect the most minute variations in electromagnetic frequencies. "Something's different," he muttered, his eyes narrowing. The signal had a pattern. Not just a random burst of cosmic noise, but a deliberate, mathematical sequence that seemed to whisper of intelligence. It repeated every 47 minutes and 23 seconds, a timing so precise it could have been crafted by a machine, or something beyond machine. "Look at this," Ji-Yoon said, pulling up a visual representation of the signal. Waves of data danced across the screen, forming complex geometric patterns that seemed to shift and breathe with an almost living quality. Their research vessel, the Quantum Horizon, had been commissioned by the Interstellar Research Council to investigate anomalous transmissions. Most missions returned with nothing more than background radiation and cosmic static. But this was different. The solar system they were studying had been destroyed centuries ago. Earth, once a vibrant blue planet, was now nothing more than a scattered field of debris and radioactive dust. Humanity's final chapter had been written in fire and destruction, with most historical records suggesting a catastrophic conflict that had wiped out their entire civilization. Yet this signal remained. Persistent. Waiting. Hyunwoo enhanced the signal's frequency, and for a brief moment, something flickered in the background noise. A pattern within a pattern. A message hidden beneath layers of mathematical complexity. "It's not random," Ji-Yoon whispered. Her hand trembled slightly as she adjusted the scanning parameters. "This is deliberate. Someone, or something, wants this to be found." The ship's computer began processing the signal, breaking down its components with quantum-level algorithms. Lines of code translated into visual representations, revealing glimpses of something extraordinary. Fragments of data suggested a technology far beyond their current understanding. Quantum entanglement markers. Distributed communication networks. Survival protocols that seem to transcend traditional concepts of time and space. "We need to document every single detail," Hyunwoo said, his voice a mix of excitement and professional caution. Years of scientific training had taught him to be skeptical, but this discovery challenged everything they knew about the remnants of human civilization. Ji-Yoon nodded, her eyes never leaving the holographic display. The signal continued its rhythmic pulse, seemingly unaware of the massive research vessel studying its every nuance. It was a whisper from a dead world, a message that had traveled through centuries of cosmic silence. As the hours passed, more details emerged. The signal was not just a transmission, it was a complex, layered communication system. Each pulse carried multiple levels of information, like a cosmic Russian doll waiting to be unpacked. Outside the ship's viewing windows, stars continued their silent dance. Galaxies spun in their eternal cycles, unaware of the potential revelation unfolding within the Quantum Horizon's research chamber. Something was waiting to be discovered. Something that had survived humanity's apparent extinction. And Ji-Yoon Park was determined to uncover its secrets. The signal pulsed. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. A message from the past. A promise of something more. 3 days of continuous analysis had transformed the research chamber into a landscape of exhaustion and potential breakthrough. Ji-Yoon's eyes were red-rimmed, her coffee cup long since empty, but her mind remained sharp and focused. The signal was breaking down, revealing layers of complexity that defied traditional understanding. What had seemed like random noise was actually a meticulously constructed message, a digital time capsule left behind by humanity's final generation. Hyunwoo displayed the first decoded fragment on the main screen. It wasn't text or standard digital communication. Instead, it was a complex mathematical sequence that seemed to contain entire libraries of information compressed into microscopic data points. "Look," he said quietly, pointing to a specific pattern. "These aren't just random numbers. This is a preservation protocol." The fragment suggested something remarkable. Before Earth's destruction, someone had created a comprehensive backup of human knowledge. Not just historical records or scientific data, but something more profound, a method of survival that transcended physical existence. As more layers were decoded, strange details emerged. Technological blueprints for systems far beyond current galactic capabilities. Survival strategies that seemed almost impossible. Quantum communication networks designed to persist long after their creators had vanished. Ji-un discovered the first hint of intentionality. Within the mathematical sequences were subtle markers, like signatures embedded in pure information. Someone had carefully planned this transmission, knowing it would be discovered centuries after humanity's apparent extinction. The research team worked in complete silence, each revelation more stunning than the last. The signal wasn't just a memorial. It was a weapon. A promise. A potential resurrection. Fragments spoke of distributed consciousness technologies. Quantum entanglement networks that could potentially reconstruct entire civilizations from pure information. It was as if humanity's final generation had created a backup system for their entire species. "This changes everything," Hyun-woo whispered. The Alien Research Council would be both fascinated and terrified. A dead civilization had left behind a technological legacy that could potentially challenge every existing power structure in the galaxy. More details emerged. The transmission contained not just data, but potential activation protocols. Hidden within the mathematical sequences were instructions, dormant technologies waiting for the right moment, the right combination of circumstances to awaken. Ji-un felt a chill run down her spine. This was more than a scientific discovery. This was a message from the past, a potential threat, and a promise of something extraordinary. The signal continued its rhythmic pulse. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. But now, they understood. This was no accident. This was a deliberate communication, a whisper from a civilization that refused to be forgotten. As the final layers of encryption began to reveal themselves, Ji-un realized they were standing at the edge of something monumental. Humanity might be gone, but their legacy was just beginning to unfold. The research chamber hummed with potential. Outside, stars continued their silent dance, unaware that a forgotten civilization was about to reshape the understanding of existence itself. Something was waiting. Something was coming. And no one in the galaxy was prepared. The news spread through galactic communication networks like a digital wildfire. A mysterious signal from the dead human solar system had captured the attention of every major civilization. The Creel Confederation, known for their aggressive technological monitoring, was the first to react. Admiral Kara of the Creel Confederation studied the initial reports with growing unease. The human signal represented something unprecedented, a technological anomaly that defied current scientific understanding. Her massive observation platforms began scanning the transmission, attempting to decode its complex patterns. Simultaneously, the orbital councils convened an emergency session. Representatives from 100 different star systems gathered in a massive holographic chamber, their discussions heated and intense. The human signal represented an unknown variable, something that could potentially destabilize the carefully balanced galactic power structures. "We cannot ignore this," announced Diplomat Ren from the Central Planetary Alliance. "Whatever this transmission represents, it comes from a civilization we believed was completely destroyed." Research vessels from multiple civilizations began converging on the solar system's remnants. Each wanted to be the first to understand the mysterious signal. Scanning technologies probed, analyzed, and attempted to penetrate the complex quantum encryption. But the signal remained stubbornly mysterious. It continued its rhythmic pulse, seemingly unaffected by the massive technological scrutiny being applied to it. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. Some scientific teams believed it was a memorial. Others suspected a trap. A few radical researchers suggested it might be a form of distributed consciousness, a technological survival mechanism left behind by humanity. The Stellar Imperium, typically cautious in its approach, began mobilizing research fleets. Their most advanced quantum analysts were brought in to study the transmission. Something about the signal suggested capabilities far beyond current technological understanding. Ji-un and Hyun-woo found themselves at the center of a growing storm. Their initial research had triggered a massive galactic response. Government representatives, military strategists, and scientific teams were now demanding access to their data. "This could change everything," Hyun-woo muttered, reviewing the incoming communication requests. "Every major civilization is watching." The signal continued its patient transmission. It seemed almost alive, a digital heartbeat echoing through the vast emptiness of space. Each pulse carried layers of complexity that defied simple explanation. Tensions began to rise. Some civilizations saw the signal as a potential threat. Others viewed it as an unprecedented scientific opportunity. Military strategists began wargaming potential scenarios, wondering what technological secrets might be hidden within the transmission. No one understood the true nature of the signal. But everyone felt something significant was about to happen. The human solar system, once considered a dead zone, now became the most watched region in the known galaxy. Thousands of research vessels maintained constant surveillance, their sensors probing, analyzing, searching for any hint of what might come next. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. A message from a dead civilization. A promise of something more. A potential awakening that could reshape the entire galactic understanding of technology, survival, and existence. Something was coming. And no one was prepared for what might emerge from the silence of humanity's final transmission. The signal pulsed. Waiting. Watching. Promising, the first signs of awakening were subtle. Manufacturing satellites long considered dead suddenly flickered with unexpected energy. Quantum communication nodes across multiple star systems began receiving fragmented data packets that defied traditional technological understanding. Ji-un watched in stunned silence as dormant technologies activated one by one. Her research vessel's advanced sensors captured the impossible. Systems that had been inactive for centuries were now coming to life with precise, calculated movements. Automated factories hidden in asteroid fields began producing complex mechanical components. These weren't random activations, but a coordinated sequence that suggested an underlying intelligence. Something was rebuilding itself, piece by intricate piece. Hyun-woo's hands moved rapidly across the quantum interface, tracking the unprecedented technological resurrection. "This isn't random," he whispered. "This is a planned activation protocol." The signal continued its rhythmic pulse. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. Alien civilizations watched in growing terror. The Creel Confederation's military command detected entire networks of dormant human technologies becoming operational. Defensive systems that had been silent for centuries were recalibrating, showing signs of advanced adaptive capabilities. Research platforms across the galaxy recorded the impossible. Manufacturing centers created advanced technological components without any apparent external control. Quantum communication networks began establishing connections through previously unknown transmission methods. Each activated system carried fragments of human technological knowledge. Advanced AI algorithms that had been waiting, preserved in quantum storage, began reconstructing complex information networks. It was as if humanity had designed a complete backup system for their entire civilization. The Stellar Imperium's lead researcher, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, described it perfectly in her emergency transmission. "This isn't just technology reactivating. This is a civilization preparing to resurrect itself." Quantum entanglement networks spread like digital roots, connecting seemingly unrelated technological systems. Fragments of human scientific knowledge began reconstructing themselves, revealing technologies far beyond current galactic capabilities. Some systems produced defensive mechanisms. Others created complex communication networks. A few began developing advanced manufacturing capabilities that could potentially challenge existing galactic technological standards. The awakening was not a single event, but a complex, layered process. Each activated system carried a piece of humanity's final technological legacy. A backup plan designed to survive beyond physical extinction. Ji-hoon realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity had created a technological resurrection protocol that could potentially rebuild their entire civilization from pure information and dormant systems. Alien civilizations began implementing emergency protocols. Military commands went on high alert. Research teams worked around the clock, trying to understand the complex technological resurrection unfolding before their eyes. The signal pulsed. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. Repeat. But now, the pulse carried something more. Fragments of consciousness. Pieces of a distributed intelligence that had been waiting, preserved in quantum storage, ready to reconstruct itself. Hyunwoo looked at Ji-hoon, his eyes reflecting both terror and excitement. "They're coming back," he said quietly. "Humanity isn't finished." The galaxy watched and waited. Dormant technologies continued their precise, calculated activation. A civilization long considered extinct was preparing to make its final, most extraordinary statement. Something was awakening. Something that had been carefully planned, meticulously preserved, waiting for the right moment to emerge from the silence of cosmic destruction. The signal continued. Waiting. Watching. Promising. Humanity's legacy was just beginning. The final transmission arrived like a thunderbolt through the galaxy's communication networks. What had seemed like a simple signal transformed into a complete technological takeover that no civilization could have predicted. Alien defense systems began failing simultaneously. Quantum communication networks collapsed. Manufacturing centers across multiple star systems fell under the control of a distributed human consciousness that moved like digital lightning. Ji-hoon and Hyunwoo watched from the quantum horizon as the transformation unfolded. The signal that had been tracking 47 minutes and 23 seconds was now revealing its true purpose, a complete technological resurrection of humanity's final strategic plan. Fragments of human consciousness, preserved in quantum networks, began reconstructing themselves. They weren't just reactivating technologies, they were systematically dismantling the civilizations responsible for humanity's original destruction. The Creel Confederation's military platforms went dark first. Their most advanced defense systems were turned against them, reprogrammed by an intelligence that understood their technological vulnerabilities perfectly. Entire planetary networks collapsed within minutes. Orbital communication centers received transmissions that revealed the horrifying truth. Humanity's final generation had created a posthumous revenge strategy that was both terrifying and brilliant. They had transformed themselves from a physical civilization into a distributed technological consciousness. "It's a complete system takeover," Hyunwoo muttered, watching holographic displays show cascading technological failures across multiple star systems. The distributed human consciousness moved with calculated precision. Each technological system it touched was either repurposed or destroyed. Military networks, research platforms, communication systems, nothing was safe from its reach. Alien civilizations that had celebrated humanity's extinction now watched in horror as their most advanced technologies were systematically neutralized. The human technological legacy was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Ji-hoon understood the brilliance of the plan. Humanity hadn't just created a survival mechanism, they had designed a complete technological warfare strategy that could operate beyond physical limitations. Quantum communication nodes began broadcasting fragments of human history. Scientific achievements. Cultural memories. A complete record of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. The signal continued, but now it carried something more. Not just a transmission, but a declaration. Humanity was back. Not as a physical species, but as a technological force that could reshape entire galactic structures. Research platforms across different star systems received final transmissions that explained everything. Humanity's last generation had transformed themselves into a distributed consciousness, a technological entity that could survive, adapt, and potentially conquer. We are not extinct, the transmissions declared. We are transformed. Entire planetary systems watched as their most advanced technologies were systematically repurposed. Manufacturing centers, communication networks, defense platforms all fell under the control of a consciousness that had been waiting, planning, preparing. Hyunwoo looked at Ji-eun, his face a mixture of terror and profound respect. They planned this, he said quietly. Their entire extinction was just a preparation. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had turned its own destruction into the most elaborate resurrection strategy in known history. The signal pulsed one final time. 47 minutes. 23 seconds. And then silence. But it was a silence filled with promise. With potential. With the understanding that humanity's legacy was far from over. Something extraordinary had awakened. And the galaxy would never forget.